If you woke up as a millionaire, which is the first thing you would buy? Investments. First thing I do is move my money into my portfolio and build out my strategy. If done right, I may have enough in principle to live off my earnings and retire early. But even if it's not enough for that, like if it's only a couple million, I can let that grow and keep my job and just retire early. Having that safety net would be awesome. TF2 Golden Frying Pan. It's funny reading through the comments. First comment was long and thoughtful about reinvesting and building out portfolios and so on. Then next comment, fudge eat. Blowing it all on a golden frying pan. I like your style. A plot of land in the mountains and build a cabin on it. Hopefully with a stream or something to fish, swim and kayak around. A herd of goats as nature's lawnmower. A donkey to fudge up anything that wanted those goats. Some chickens for delicious eggs and meat. Nice sized garden with some fruit and nut trees around the property. 2 or 3 lazy porch dogs. Few beehives to pollinate and get some sweet honey. Wood shop. And top it all off with a nice wind chime. I will pay off all my debts and the debts of my family. Then get my son's college fund jump-started. A new car. A place to live. And a lawyer to fight for my children. That's rough, my dude. Hang in there. Nothing more fucked up than to have to fight for your kids. Yes, there is. Fighting your kids is much worse. Medical necessities for my fam. This cancer cause bitches insurance won't cover him. A house and car for my co-worker. She is literally the sweetest person I have ever met, and she deserves the world for her and her kids. She doesn't deserve how she's treated by the customers, and I wish I was able to give her the life that I grew up with. Some owns in Louvre. Very cute. If only lol. I'm a 16-year-old and she's 28. She was just really one of the only people were nice to me when I started working, and she made me feel so welcome. A cup of coffee. Like every morning. Honestly, a millionaire isn't that remarkable anymore. According to some sources I'm seeing, there are about 6 million millionaires in the US right now. I think that by their definition I'd be one of them. And, I mean, it sure beats the alternative. But today it's just not that much money compared to the actual rich. The actual rich have many millions or billions. By contrast, millionaires now are just the upper middle class. They might drive a BMW, but they aren't buying yachts. That's why I always say that when we talk about wealth inequality, we have to remember that there is the 10% and the 1% and the 0.1%. And while I'm not going to cry about tax increases on the 10%, that's not where all the money went. They got a piece, but it's not the big piece. You want real money? Look to the 0.1%. So if I woke up as one of those guys, I'd probably still buy coffee, but then probably a Ferrari. Probably a steak breakfast crunch wrap from Taco Bell. Bell's breakfast is underrated. Second would be my student debt. An animal rescue shelter. Especially a death row animal shelter. They are always in need of funding and volunteers. Perfect. My first thought was a house because renting sucks. But then I saw your post and amended mine to a house with an animal rescue attached. And it would probably be dogs and cats, only since that's where most of my knowledge is. A grill, a 4-finger ring, and a pack of Camel Golds. A house for my mom. I consider myself a minimalist, so not much. I like to pay for experiences like a nice movie or a great place to travel. This pandemic must be awful for you. Hang in there. Thank you for the nice words. Honestly, I'm just managing the best way I can, and grateful that I'm able to work from home. Hope you're doing well. Take my truck to the shop and have them fix all the things. Pizza. I've been wanting a thin crust veggie pizza for ages. Couldn't justify spending the money for takeout. RTX 3090. Now this is carefully planned out. I'd pay off the house for my parents. Then start the trade school I want to go to. I'd figure it out from there. There's a really nice cafe in town that sells breakfast bagels. So probably that. However, there would be several big purchases that would be next on the list. Reasonable sized house would be the first. Depends how many millions I have. Where I live, 1 mil would get you a 2-bedroom, maybe 2-bath. If it was like 10 a PS5, a house for my parents, and pay my own college grad school tuition, and save the rest. Buy 3 Berkshire Hathaway shares, and realize that I'm in $30k debt. Services of a wealth management firm. I'm in no way equipped to make my own decisions of this nature, so would turn to an expert. Even if it costs me, I'd rather lower the risk than maximize profits. Because, fudge it, I've got at least $1 million! Exclamation mark close bracket. Pay off student loans. Buy a house and new car. And put the rest in savings/stocks. Start a gaming company. I think I would do that too after my RV is finished. I'd basically work out of my RV. I have 2 people I can rely on for graphics. One was / is a comic artist, and the other a musician. Actually, I know 2 musicians I could rely on. I'd collaborate maybe one other programmer. I'd use Game Maker Studio 2. The language is very much like BASIC, but the kinda basic turtle graphics or the C128's basic 7.0 wanted to be. I've made some small experiments, but with free time and the ability to program while at the beach between dips, I have 2 games storyboarded out in on a note. Probably Edna Kebab. Gotta have a proper meal before you go on a shopping spree. I would make a trip to the Apple store and buy everything they have in there. My financial freedom. In paying off all my debts and using the remainder to pay 1 year of rent in advance and the rest into a savings or bond where it will collect interest. Probably a multitude of hypercars and supercars. I really like cars and wish more than anything I could even see $1 million cars. You chew through that million fast doing that, but to each their own. Pay off my debt. Put 90% of the remaining into expanding my investment portfolio and the remaining bit'll take my dad on a vacation. Fund and participate in scientific expeditions. Possessions that make money themselves to escape the rat wheel for me and my children to follow. Honestly, I just want to replace my broken 3rd printer. Man, I can't use a supercar. I don't want to vacation through Europe. Maybe a pair of backup prosthetics in case something happens to my existing prosthetics. A powered wheelchair for days when I'm going to be doing a lot of moving around would be nice. And insurance doesn't cover them for me at all. The very first thing. Probably lunch. After that, maybe a new laptop. Better shirts and pants, I guess. I'm a guy, but I'm super obsessed with my own looks. This is absolutely the first luxury I would get. Delicious home cooked meals, not having to decide what to feed my picky toddler, not having to do the dishes. Sounds like heaven to me. A car. Basically been putting band-aids on my car just waiting for it to die in the middle of an intersection. But God, being a millionaire would change my family's life so much I can't even imagine. The company I work for. I'd then sack one of the supervisors, hire a replacement, and then sell the company. I'd invest it all. I could pay off my house, but I just refinanced at 3%, so I could probably get better returns on investments. I have some short-term loans, AC replacement for example, but they are 0% interest as long as I pay them off in 18 months, so kind of pointless. If I invested it, I could retire pretty soon. A butler. I guess I'm not buying him, but I'm hiring him, and he's gonna cook me quiche and no sweet karate moves. A high quality drawing tablet with a pen and drawing glove. Depends on how many millions we are talking about, but a flat in the capital city of my country plus furniture and a gaming PC and a cookbook so I can finally learn to cook. Yes, I'm a chaotic and impulsive shopper. A lot of houses to rent out and have a steady flow of income. I'd also invest in a range of stocks that pay high dividends. Once I have enough, I'd buy a business to have more steady income. A home where my parents and my future family could live with land to tend animals. A modest home and car. I would set as much aside as I could for my kids' education should they wish to pursue it. After that, a separate fund to ensure my family's well-being should I pass unexpectedly. My grandmother is still alive, so I would make sure she's taken care of in every way possible. After that, if there's any left depending on the amount, I would give it to the NLDAC, National Living Donor Assistance Center. Dump 425 of it into a portfolio to draw 5% return from. Net myself a salary of over 100k for the rest of my life. Then use the rest of it to do the same, but in an account that the rest of my fam can draw from. 125,000 copies of Shrek. A bunch of food for the local food bank. Much needed these days. New shoes. Been out of work for over a year, and it doesn't feel good to not be able to drop $50 on a new pair. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's too expensive right now to get something with so many glitches, but I still would like to get it. It only went down $10 for Black Friday. That's still too expensive, plus I'm saving for Cyberpunk, so I guess Valhalla will have to wait. Breakfast. I've very rarely eaten out in my life, and almost never breakfast, so I think I'd go out for breakfast first and take that time to think of what needs to be done so I can do it right. I'd eliminate every personal debt I have, including mortgage and car loans, relax for a week while I do some investment research. A decent house in a nice neighborhood, nothing too big or too small. I'll make sure it's fully paid off so I don't have a mortgage. I'd pay back all money my friend lent to me while I couldn't even pay my rent, and helping my grandparents in any way I could. Okay, so literally the first thing I buy is probably gonna be food or maybe gas. Sure, I'll buy a house and invest and all that, but literally the first thing I buy will be something basic that I don't have to put much thought into. Once I've had a meal and a full tank of gas, I'll look into investing or some shit. // I always thought this too. Also a dietitian that ensures the chef is giving me calories I need, and a personal trainer. I'd probably also buy a farm and hire people to run it, so the chef has the most fresh, organic, homegrown ingredients available. I'd love daily bedclothes changes too, like a hotel, and the linen used would be the highest quality possible. I'd also build a home theater room with the perfect dimensions to have a floor-to-ceiling / wall-to-wall screen, like an IMAX screen at home, and pay whatever fees are required to screen the latest movie releases, so I'd never have to endure the annoyance other people cause at the cinema again. // I would buy you a subscription to Grammarly. I'd love to go back and get a PhD. It's not feasible right now, but with a cool million I could go back easily. Really, I think it would be fun to be a career student. Just learn for the rest of my life. I'd buy enough land to support and found a small city. I would then have a ringed tower built. The tower would be maybe 5 stories above ground and another 6 stories below ground. Ascending from the lowest floor would be HVAC, piping, sewage, electrical. Then the next would be devoted to computer servers and systems. After that, housing with simulated sunlight, windows and air pumped in from outside. Reaching the ground floor would be government. The next, science and technological development. Education. The top floors would be devoted to fabrication and testing. The roof would have multiple helipads. The rings would be cantering outward at steep angle. There would be 3 rings, each a single story higher, the other with about 100 yards separating each, and the top of each ring would be agricultural, farming and parks. Recreational space, workout, training etc. will scattered around the spaces between the rings as well. There would be 1 entrance to each ring, each being on the opposite the other ring. So you have to walk around the inner section of each ring to get to the tower in the center. The initial million would get the project running, the rest would have to get government funding. Put half of it in a savings account and share the other half with my family to get things we need or want. A plane ticket, the Fajirata here before Uncle Sam comes knocking for half of my millions. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.